Well, Clary, thanks again for joining us at Networking in Nature last week in the Botanic Gardens. I've actually caught up with you in Lane Cove National Park today because you had to run off pretty quickly after our session and we didn't get to film a bit of a wrap up. So I've tracked you down here in the bush.
In the bush.
And we're in the bush at a time of changing of the seasons, and I wanted to kick it off there in terms of your wrap up because you told such a powerful story last week about your journey with 40k and how you've navigated making a huge impact in the world. And the question you left us with at the very end of the session was actually around a changing of the seasons and drawing a bit of a personal analogy around that.
Yeah.
Would you mind recapping that for those at home who
Sure.
didn't get to join us?
Well, g'day everyone, and thank you for allowing me to share my story. So what I was talking about was that, with coming into spring now, there's an analogy that as humans, there's an inevitability that we go through seasons as well. Big part of my story and a big part of what gets written about startups is that when it starts, it's like summer. You know, it's long days, but they're not tiring days. They're energizing. You're full of life. Everything's kind of charging with energy. And I think when we start these kinds of things, we feel like it's always going to be summer. But just like summer turns into autumn, the energy starts to come down. You start to see that like the browns come through. You get tired, and it starts to come down before we hit winter. And I was just saying to the group last week that that surprised me as a founder. That I thought starting up something was going to be perpetually summer, but over a number of years, the energy started to come down, and then I inevitably hit winter. And I was saying to the guys last week that winter was just like it is the season. That I was tired. I got up in the morning, kind of grey skies, and it got to the point where it was diagnosed as depression. And it was a really good wake up for me that, going through the startup phase in my 20s, you kind of feel like you're built of steel, and that no matter what happens, everyone goes through mistakes and wrong turns and things go wrong, but you kind of just brush it off. I made the mistake of truly not repairing the damage, and then all of a sudden I hit this winter. But when I look back at it, the best thing for it was that, spring follows winter. That there is an inevitability. I think it's totally normal for humans to go through different energy spaces, and what winter did for me was to really force decisions. That if it was only just okay, then I would have kept going. But because it got so personally challenging and difficult, it forced change. And so for me, that change was moving out of the founding CEO role into a board member and then going to do something else. And having now gone through that as difficult as it was, I really feel like I'm back in spring now, that the shoots are starting to come out and my energy levels are coming back. And the most fascinating thing for me is that, I keep using this word inevitable. That just like the world goes through it, I think it happens for humans. And so I posed the question to the group, what season are you in? Are you burning energy and really in this great space, everything's firing on 6 cylinders and in summer? Do you feel like your energy is not quite where it was a few months or years ago and therefore in autumn? Are you in winter? You've become dormant and tired and slow. Or have you been through that and you're rejuvenating in spring? That was the question.
So have a think about that. I know everyone who hung around after the session was, still in the mindset of that question, and I know I have been almost since the session. So
what are you in, John?
Chewing that. I believe I'm in an early spring.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
fantastic.
And things are starting to pop and starting to see more colours, and and feeling like the momentum is becoming a little more self-sustaining, and that's a really great feeling. Cool. Because I do believe what you said earlier in terms of the seasons being natural and having to move through them, and it has felt like the spring has been preceded by a winter that at times gets so challenging, and
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's really enough for us to chat about today. I think it's a super powerful concept alone. Looking at the founder's journey and business journey as not always being summertime, and really learning to roll with these different seasons, and within them, as hard as they may seem at the time, being able to find some positive and some good way forwards from them.
Definitely. And I really feel like the world needs all 4 seasons, just like humans do, to kind of grow. So I think we kind of shy away from embracing winter. But I think that the people that do it the best are the ones that kind of rug up and hit the ski slopes and just enjoy winter for what it does. It's different, but it's just as important.
Well, Clary, we might have to ask you back again in the future. That was an
No
awesome
worries.
session. Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.